said it in a way that sounded like that we were really crazy, like, you know?
If anything, I thought, well, it'd be a one-shot wonder.
You guys could not get past certain points in the play. And if one of you knew your lines, the other one did.
I didn't know what to think, but you hugged me and gave me a kiss on the top of my head.
I thought we'd do one play and that was the end of it.
You wouldn't come in the car to drive up. You were too nervous.
Yes,
I walked up. You walked up. You were too nervous.
The first few shows, I was a nervous wreck.
Your whole body was shaking that time.
Got a standing ovation.
I didn't trust myself to remember what come next.
Yeah.
But it just kept going and going. And
I feel as though I'm doing something right.
Okay.
That's my biggest surprise.
It certainly just rejuvenated my life, you know, so we've all been surprised. And more often than not, it's by joy, eh? With this magical group of people.
Yeah.
my name is Michael Martel. I have been living with schizophrenia since I was 17 years old.
My name is Louise Hall. I had to retire from graphic design in 1990 due to mental illness.
My name is Stacy Septon, and I've been living with schizophrenia for 25 years.
My name's Catherine Tetu. I have experienced mental illness personally.
My name is Patrick Chisholm. I've been successfully living with a mental problem since I was in my early teens, and now I'm 45 years of age.
My name is Fran, and I've lived with schizophrenia for 46 years.
My name is Jim Mulcahy. I'm the writer-director for the Park Bench Players. They're an exceptional group of individuals who have faced incredible challenges through their lives, and they seem to be just relishing the opportunity to be part of this play. One of the things they all had in common was they would often be found sitting on the park benches, Main Street in Antigonish. And that was their social gathering point. For some of them, that was where they spent most of their day. Park bench players, it has a nice ring to it, and it captures their lifestyle. That they couldn't sit in a fancy restaurant, so the economy prohibited that. But they gathered and told their stories and met and laughed and carried on and considered their lives on park benches.
With a little help from our friends, Act 1, the park bench.
Not much in Whistler, Pat, but I'm trying.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Fran. Excuse me, I got just a little squeeze here to get in.
The cast members are individuals who live with chronic and persistent mental illness. These individuals were members of our outpatient service at one time over the last number of years.
How's she going, Cecil?
I think only one of them had ever been on a stage before, like in high school. The others were very concerned, very tentative, and very nervous.
Do you know every single person in this town, Mike?
Just about.
Well, do you have to say hello to each and every one of them?
Only being polite. Don't want to hurt their feelings.
Well, it sure as I'm hurting mine, Mike. I'm trying to do a painting.
I can't help it. You paint, you write, I wave. It's what I do.
Mike is one of the most affable and genuinely pleasant individuals I've ever met. He's known about town because he drives his bike back and forth, winter, spring, summer, or fall. In the play, he's identified as Sir Mike of the Bike.
They thought something was going on with me. And then partway through grade 12, my mom and my dad, and I guess they told me they were going to take me to see a psychiatrist up here. And he told me that I had to go to the Nova Scotia hospital. So I went to the hospital. But then after a few months of being in the hospital, I was released and I went back to mom and dad's. And I was confused. I couldn't think through thoughts clearly. In my mind, it was like my head was in a bubble. I just wanted to freak out and scream. But I didn't. I held everything in.
And did you talk to anybody about it?
I didn't like talking about what I was going through, like, you know?
Yeah.
Probably because I was scared or fearful of
and
myself.
confused.
Did you hear voices, Mike?
I did, Fran. Years later, and I was probably 45 years old then.
Wow.
I saw a psychologist at St. Anne Centre in Ayrshire.
Right.
And he asked me one time if I'd be interested in moving to Antigonish. About a year later, after that meeting, I moved to Antigonish. I found my own place, and it's like I woke right up. And when I moved here, it's just like I woke right up, and I felt alive with energy. And
How about a time when you felt really proud of yourself?
a proud moment of mine was when I graduated from the Nova Scotia Community College in Port Hawkesbury.
Wonderful.
And I graduated with a cooking certificate, and my mom and dad were there to see me graduate.
Isn't that lovely?
Welcome to Gabrielle's Kitchen. Well, I'm feeling pretty good about myself these days. I'm working a lot more hours now. That makes me feel pretty good about myself.
We started this time last year, which would have been January, February gathering at our house.
Hi there.
Every Wednesday night.
Yeah, we're gonna have a hoedown at Jim's place.
A slow down, not a hoedown. Slow down.
It's become part of everybody's life to have this association with other people that otherwise they would have a fairly lonely life.
Hi, Louise. How are you?
We sit around for somewhere up to 3 hours. Part of that time is used to rehearse if we have a show coming up. But a lot of that time is used to just chat and run over the things that have happened in their lives during the previous week.
What you, Stace? What about the dental stuff? Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished with that. Yeah.
That's awesome, Stacy.
Yeah, it was quick.
We spent quite a bit of time in trying to create an atmosphere of comfort and respect and openness to get to know them. And that didn't take long. I must say, that didn't take long.
What a coffee! Hey, from Jim. Guitar tuner from Pat.
I felt it would be, I know it's an overworked term, but I thought it would be organic. I thought that we would meet, we would talk, and something would evolve if you allowed room for it to do so.
Living with mental illness and addiction.
Through the meetings and the dinners and the carrying on and the storytelling, we did get to know them. They did get to be confident with us, and they have shared, in some cases, some very raw experiences with us. And I've certainly seen them ecstatic, and I've certainly seen them in states of despair and depression.
Around that time, my family doctor became concerned about me because I developed a preoccupation with and fear about certain diseases, like flesh-eating diseases. My doctor suggested that I see a psychiatrist, and the stigma and the treatments began.
Patrick has a spiritual bent that he feels sustains him in his efforts to recover and manage his illness.
Hi everybody, the smallest art studio in town. My name is Patrick. I'm going to talk about my art a little bit and how it helps me to cope with life and stress and my illness as well. Life was normal for me into the age of 14 and 15. By 15 though, I was feeling very lethargic. My mood became gloomy and morbid. School became a tough thing for me. Even so, I really liked learning. Unlike other kids, I developed an overwhelming fear of authority, and I was easily shaken. My father fished lobster. Mom took very good care of us all. We ate really well. Growing up and discovering girls, and I did street drugs for a few years, and almost all the time it was such a negative thing. It was not right for me at all. And I couldn't take care of myself very good because of my illness. The negative side of my illness was apathy and lack of motivation. Over the next number of years, I was in and out of a number of psychiatric hospitals. I was given a variety of medications, all of which were ineffective, and many of which had side effects that were worse than the illness itself. I like scenery, and sometimes before the scenery happens, I have to deal with all the negativity and the paranoia and just my illness. I have to get it out before I do something straight, you know. Now this here is when I was so very, very frustrated and angry, and the thoughts were turning and churning and anger. Jim, I have trouble trying.
Yeah, I know. Okay, they've just heard your story. this play is so significant for some of these people here, okay? So say it right to them, okay? You're that kind of a person. You're a spiritual person. You say it to those people, okay? You go ahead.
Being in a psychiatric hospital was surreal for me. I felt like I was caught in some kind of government plot. I thought someone must have made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I was certain someone else should have been there, but not me. It would be nice if my problems were all solved. That's not the case. Just like everyone else, there will always be problems for me to face. The difference for me at this point in my life is that in spite of so many challenges, in spite of my illness, I feel much more in control of my life, much more hopeful. Thank you.
There. What happened? Okay.
Whatever.
Now, through the meetings and the dinners and the carrying on and the storytelling, we did get to know them. They did get to be confident with us, and they suggested certain parameters. One of the ones being that initially, anyways, some of them were reluctant to go too close to the bone in telling their stories. So we had to respect their wishes in terms of up to this point, yes, but beyond that, I don't want to talk about this, and I don't want this presented publicly. Another one being that if we were going to do it, it had to be fun.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Pat. I am Dr. Phil's long-lost, but much more handsome and intelligent brother. Welcome to my group therapy session.
Above all else, it's got to be funny.
Same thing over
When
and
did
over.
your baby brother have his first bowel movement?
We had to do it in an entertaining fashion. They weren't interested in being preachy. They wanted to have fun with the production.
The Toronto Maple Leafs will not win the Stanley Cup.
That's hard to believe.
And so we talked, and we talked, and we talked, and I would come home and remember what they had said, and more than that, I carried home with me their personalities, the sense of humor, the sense of friendship, the sense of sadness. And as often happens, the ideas came out on the page sometimes by surprise, not often by planning, and we got lucky. I would come in with that script and we would workshop it and go over it until the language that I had written was language that they would use, in fact, themselves.
I remember I was in grade 12 and I felt like I forgot my lines.
Okay, it was comedic, but it was serious. Okay, and it seemed to work. For you, and we're all going to be proud for you too. Okay, do we remember the sequence here?
The first show, it was actually done with audiences by invitation, and that was intended to help the cast invite family and friends so they'd have familiar faces in the audience, maybe help to take away a little bit of the nerves.
And they invited friends, families, professionals, anybody that they wanted to come to see them perform as long as they felt safe in their company. We were quite concerned that this was a risky endeavor for the players.
By the time we got to the first intermission, we could tell that the audience, they were thinking, oh my God, like we've never seen anything like this before.
The response was amazing. There were standing ovations in the middle of the play. There were tears in the audience from relatives, from professionals who had not seen some of these people since the days when their illness had them down and out. It was an ecstatic moment for everyone present. After months of pretty hard work, these individuals stood at the end of that show as the entire audience stood for what seemed like hours and applauded them. Applauded them. You know, and that was the delay. But they were being applauded. They were being acknowledged as having done something wonderful. They almost couldn't believe it. It was such a resounding success that there was no way we could stop it at that point.
Oh, good. You're driving in style.
At our very first meeting, where we were still attempting to recruit cast members, a little gentleman, he had difficulty sitting. He was pacing back and forth in the room, sometimes leaving the room, and that was Stacy Septon. And Stacy, initial nervousness and anxieties and being a participant in the play eased in due course over time. Why don't we talk first a little bit about your background, where you grew up? And,
Grew up. Yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born in New Brunswick, Chatham, New Brunswick.
You were?
At Air Force Base up there.
Because?
Stories is all I'm hearing because, you know, I'm one. Because my dad was in the Air Force studying to be a fireman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And these are just stories I hear.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody suspicious, Fran. Somebody suspicious. Somebody suspicious, Fran.
So how old were you when your father wasn't around then?
I've only met him once, so I have never been with him.
Oh.
No. But he was with me at an early age.
Somebody suspicious.
And I just didn't connect with him after that. But you know, with all the troubles of being the oldest boy, I'm pretty glad he wasn't around.
Pretty glad he wasn't around.
Yeah.
He might have been
a little forceful.
Strict.
Yeah, a little strict, to tell the least. So I'm pretty lucky.
He was content with playing a minor role on the stage, but that minor role has grown in import and in stage time to the point where he is recognized as one of our stars.
Ladies and gentlemen, at first I didn't think I would get a part in this play. When I did, I was afraid, kind of anxious. I was afraid I wouldn't remember my lines. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to talk about my illness. I was afraid I might embarrass myself and disappoint all the others. But here I am. I'm still kind of nervous, but I'm not afraid anymore.
Your father left the family.
Yes.
And then your mother came here.
After the birth of my youngest brother, and I was about 5 years old.
Can you tell me about a place that was special to you when you were young?
Yeah, we picked blackberries in the winter. In the summertime, in the wintertime, we'd be sledding till 8 or 10 at night. And
Sounds wonderful.
My brothers and I grew apart a little while because my middle
Your
brother...
older brothers?
No, I'm the oldest boy, but my middle brother got a little bit of trouble. Social services took him away from me when I didn't have a friend to go out to throw my baseball gloves with.
When did you leave home?
I left home...
After high school?
Yeah, about 1 month after graduation, I went up to Ontario, and this is where the problems really began. I had the blahs a little low and all this, but yeah, it's really, really nice. There's a huge bathroom in it that goes really deep, where the only closet is. So my winter jackets are under the table.
So did you stay in Ontario for a long time?
No, not a long time, because my friend Chris helped me out so much. And then we got in a bad argument just 10 years ago, but he helped me out so much. He said, Stace, I'll help you get home.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, and he mentioned something about schizophrenia to me that I might have had it.
Yeah.
I never heard of it before.
Yeah.
But I was very quiet. And
so you come home. Where do you go then?
So I came home. I sold my guitar that I was going, and I went right to my mom's. She helped me get up to see a psychiatrist.
Did she?
Yeah.
She thought that there was something wrong.
She thought there was something wrong.
Okay.
Catherine was right.
They hospitalized me again. I was in for another month at the Abbey Lane.
Okay.
When Jim and I were talking to what I would like to say to you tonight, told me that years and years ago the word hospital didn't mean a place with all kinds of confusing corridors and doctors and nurses and complicated machines. Way back then, a hospital was kind of a guest house. And then by the side of the road, it was a place where a child would come to rest, a place where he can find warmth by a fire, some safety.
Was that the only time you were hospitalized?
I was hospitalized 2 years later. And when I went back to work, I could find I couldn't hold the job as well as I used to be able to. But I was really having a hard time.
So, this play has been kind of a hospital for me. So is Friendship Corner, and the Connections program, and the park bench in front of the $5 I feel safe in those places. Thank you.
Stacy's monologue never fails to receive a tumultuous standing ovation. Thank you. He has a challenging life, and he is so genuine. He is such a pleasant gentleman.
Well, I derive a lot of relief from my anxiety. Like
when we began this process, professional healthcare workers from the hospital, from adult mental health and adolescent mental health, have negotiated opportunities to work with the park bench players.
Would that be all right?
We decided we'll break up all the duties and we'll step up and do whatever we have to do. I took on a role as a producer, and I'm also a member of the crew, so I'm backstage helping out with everybody else, and I'm a driver. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay. My vision in mental illness is that we kind of stop using the word mental illness, and we recognize that mental illness is not a category. It's actually a continuum in which we all have a place on it.
Hi, Louise. Another road trip. I had a clinical depression when I was 26. Well, that's when the schizophrenia, like that was my first breakdown.
Okay.
And again, I'm lucky because people often get that in their teens. I was able to get my education and work until I was 30, but then I had to retire due to schizophrenia. I enjoy being in the play because we're all the same here and nobody looks down on us here. Thank you.
Louise, she was quite hesitant to participate in any actual stage performance. She was content to work in the background.
I always wanted to be a ballerina, so I drew a picture of a ballerina. And it turned out I was a little bit too heavy to become a ballerina, so I decided to become an artist when I was about 12. My parents' marriage broke up. That wasn't so good because all of his money went with him. So Mom raised 4 of us on a secretary's salary. I just wanted them back together. I just felt for Mom. She was just so brokenhearted. I went to graphic design school, specialized in ink drawings, but my nerves were just too bad to hold a job. My husband didn't know what to do with me. I was married at the time, and he started seeing somebody else. So it took me a while to get my thoughts together. I didn't know where I was going to go, but anyhow, I went into a psychotic depression. I was hearing voices, which is terrifying. But I got some help, but I was up against a lot of troubles, and all I could think is I wanted to remarry, and people hear the word schizophrenia and they get scared. And sunlight sparkling upon salt water.
Louise has evolved. She now participates fully in one of our performance pieces and also mans the prompting desk for the major play.
And then I remember.
The onset of my illness.
I remember.
But with the play, we're doing something, and it's worthwhile. And
I don't know where she is. I don't know where she is. I don't have it.
Well, I know my mother would have been proud. My brother says I have more confidence now.
Hi, Fran.
Hi. Oh my goodness, you caught me. We're just people who happen to have a message, and the way we've chosen to express it is through acting. And
it's difficult to talk about Fran. I don't know where to begin.
I, fabulous Fran, Queen of the Realm, do dub thee Sir Charles. What? Sir, I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. Sir Patrick.
Just a delight to be with and to rehearse with. She is one of the most articulate individuals I know. Wonderful vocabulary, very insightful, an exceptional writer, beautiful writer.
Hush! I want to let you in on a little secret. I'm writing a book I'm going to call it the invisible illnesses.
Can you remember the time when you first thought something was different, when your problem started?
I remember the first incident happened when I was about 14 years old, and my family had taken a trip around the Cabot Trail. And I felt so morose and so lonely, and that nobody else could experience what I was experiencing, and nobody could feel the way I felt. It went underground for a couple of years, and then it got so bad that I withdrew from all my friends, and I went to bed, and I refused to get out of bed. I can't describe the feeling. It was like just wanting to get out of the world. And my mother said to me, was trying to get me out of bed, and I said, please don't make me get out of bed. I feel safe in bed. So she knew then that something was drastically wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been hospitalized a number of times, and at one point they had my sister signed for emergency shock treatments. That was not the one time that I received shock treatments, but it was the one time that I was so desperately ill that I was locked up. I was locked up for a period of about 3 months because I was a danger to myself and others, I guess. Now this is what I really want to focus on.
Remember who you're speaking to this time? Fran, you're speaking to people who need to hear this.
I remember I woke up and I said, where am I? What's been happening? And that was the first part of the road back. They were an enormous help for me. They saved my life. I don't know if I'd be willing to undergo them again because they did result in insufficient memory loss that I'd be reluctant to try them again. And yet, regardless of how tragic, challenging, and common the incidence of mental illness is within our country, the stigma concerning mental
individuals involved in volunteering with mental health, the police force, first responders, have all benefited from Fran's participation in conferences and workshops with them. Fran is a real ambassador of hope.
Dear reader, we need to finally come out of the medical closet. I wasn't afraid or embarrassed or ashamed because I had dealt with this years ago.
And Catherine had a career, an academic career as a biologist, smart, cultured. Catherine brings her own experiences with a debilitating illness, the benefits of a variety of therapeutic techniques, some traditional, some less so, that she's introduced to the cast members. And then turn back and read that right to the audience.
Okay. Yes, of course, I'm a person dealing with a chronic, challenging illness. The way I am, I have spells of depression, mostly triggered by stressful situations. So they've been with me over the years. And with the multiple sclerosis, I've currently been treated for depression as a regular treatment to help with the cognitive difficulties that I suffer from. There, thank you. Now, I would like to point something out to you.
Her monologue is a key element of the discourse that takes place between the cast members and the audience.
Now listen to the following two statements. I am a schizophrenic. I'm a person living with schizophrenia. Those statements sound the same, don't they? But there's a world of difference between them.
She addresses the audience directly through a theatrical convention that we've created, asking the audience and giving them reason to understand why they should respond to individuals living with mental illnesses.
The first identifies the individual as the illness. I am a schizophrenic. The illness becomes all that I am. The second statement, I am a person living with schizophrenia, is the wiser more accurate statement.
I love how she delivers that monologue, and I love how the audience inevitably get it. They get it as a consequence of Catherine's articulation.
We ask you to see us, to meet anyone living with a mental illness, not as labels, but as people, wounded people, complicated people, to be sure, but people on a journey, on a pilgrimage to wholeness, just like everybody else. Thank you.
The beginning of the project included a plan to do 1 or 2 shows that was going to educate on what it's like to live with a mental illness.
The response was amazing, and we never turned back. The opportunities came by invitation, one leading to another, to another, to another, from a host of audiences, from high school kids to professional groups, to the general public around the community, then the extended community, to societies, and eventually with the national award that took us across Canada. And that award was presented at their conference in Vancouver, and the community of Antigonish and beyond supported the players enthusiastically, contributing funds that permitted the entire cast and crew to travel to Vancouver to receive that award.
Here we go. We're on the way to Vancouver.
Absolutely fantastic trip, the trip of my life and the trip of their lives.
It was my first flight in my life. One of the things that stands out is looking out the window seat, and those images will stay with me for a lifetime.
You could have imagined what it was for these guys and these ladies to travel across the country, to be acknowledged nationally as exemplars of excellence, and then to come home into this community and be recognized publicly. It was just almost unbelievable for our cast to imagine that this was happening to them. 2 years later, we're still going strong.
Because that's what we do, we bust stigma.
Yeah, we
Who
get
you
rid
gonna
of
call?
get rid of
The stigma busters.
You remember the time in your life when you felt something was going wrong, that you didn't feel well?
Okay, now this is the only time when I wouldn't mind a little bit of a pause, because the mood is changing. Up to now, it's been all energy and, gee, yeah, I remember that. And now he's touching on something that is a little bit deeper and a little bit harder to talk about. So I wouldn't mind if there was just this little pause, okay, before you break the silence. You remember that, Stacy?
Yes.
Okay.
You could trust Jim, where everybody looks suspicious to me. It is in fact true.
Jim is a very unique person. He has been there and guided us through thick and thin. He's always been there for us.
He's been able to reach all of us and turned us into a family, basically. We are so close.
It's opened up a whole new world, really. He's just a visionary to me.
Getting it together. We got it together.
He's such a caring individual. His poor wife comes with us everywhere, and he's very protective of her.
I really think he's a fantastic person. He has been diagnosed with cancer, and his wife has Huntington's disease, and he is her total caregiver. So he has a lot on his plate. It's amazing how he can take such an interest in other people when he has so much of his own to deal with.
I got sick about 10 years ago with cancer. Okay, let's go. I got sick again, and the second cancer pretty well terminated my teaching career.
Somebody's suspicious, then crawl back. Okay?
Yeah.
Grab it, because you're afraid of these people. They got ropes, and there's a gang of them.
Yeah,
okay? The main thing is you got to be looking at us when you do that. Okay?
The park bench players, they energize my life, and they have rejuvenated me and they provide comfort and support to me that I require.
I could be security. I could do that. That's it. That's it. That's it. And hold it. Time. No, that's it. That's it, Stacy. So excited and happy. I mean, be yourself.
The Immaculate Conception or the Virgin Birth, which is... Anyway, I'm having this
I found
problem
their lives and the way that they were, the courage they had in presenting their lives to me and listening to their stories changed me, deepened my appreciation for them, certainly deepened my affection for them, and with that my comfort, and, to be honest, my commitment to them.
I bought this one. What's this say? Entertainer of the Year.
I delight in their company. It provides an opportunity for me to be absolutely foolish, as well as creative.
I have my own little ceremonies here.
They're wonderful affairs, rejuvenating for me, great comfort for me.
My dad lived long enough to see me starting to get better, and Mum lived long enough seeing me to get well.
I have a little part-time job. I put some money in my pocket. I build old speakers and rebuild them. I'm very grateful to be healthy, you know.
Oh my. It's been better here. I love it here. What I'm really proud of. What I'm really, really proud of. This Community Health Advocacy Award. Advocacy, recognition and appreciation to your valuable contributions to mental health, literacy, and reduction of stigma through the park bench players. And my name.
Louise, your turn.
Well, I've gained quite a bit of weight.
Oh.
So I put myself on a diet about 9 days ago, and I've lost 8 pounds. So,
That's great.
Well, I've noticed a change since we've started the play. The way they treat me is always with a kind of reluctance to get involved. Now I notice that people are more inclined to open up and to be really friendly.
With ginger ale. I thought we have a drink of ginger ale and toast our success over the last few years.
That's
excellent.
Okay.
If you recall, I think it was July 2012, and that's when I told you about the news that we had won that first national award. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that. That was an awesome thing to have happened.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Do you remember what you said that night? I said
Makes us not invisible. People recognize us after we did the shows.
Yeah. And then we won another national award. So here we are, July 2014.
Still together.
I've got some more news.
Oh, no, you're holding back on us.
We won another award.
No.
2014 Mika Award.
A provincial award. 2 nationals and a provincial. We're getting it together.
My favorite spot in the band.
Cigarettes and cigarettes and antidepressants. And then we're good to go.
Where exactly are we going?
We're on our way to Sydney to the Member 2 Trade and Convention Centre. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October the 16th, there's a conference there called Living with Mental Illness and Addiction.
Biggest event that we'll ever have gone to.
550.
It's going to be amazing to see all those people out there. Well, I think all of us are going to get nervous, and then...
Is it anxiety, the anticipation of it coming up with the nervousness?
I always have to make sure I have a cigarette at least a half an hour before a performance.
When I'm nervous, I get constipated.
They are a community, and they respond to each other in need on the street, and they respond to each other in need on the stage.
Large crowd of people, a lot of people, and it makes me nervous for going.
Okay, bundle the nerves. Bundle the nerves. Okay. Here we go.
We're getting it together, better than ever. Getting it together, you and me.
You and me.
Please welcome to the stage the Park Bench Players.
Hello, my name is Michael Martel.
My name is Louise Hall.
That courage it took to reveal themselves is mollified by the fact that they now begin to see how significant they have become in the lives of individuals like them who are living with the difficulties associated with a significant mental illness.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to help us end the fear.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join us on our journey. We invite you to help us find our way home.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Wonderful blessing and a great surprise that it has been so powerful, and we're keeping the show on the road.
I think we all experienced a building of confidence.
And life has more purpose now, you know.
It has made me a lot less paranoid about people.
It's given me a good feeling with the director, producers, and management. It's given me an awful good feeling with Mike and Pat and Louise and Fran.
Well, I feel kind of schizophrenic in the sense of the word that is incorrect. In other words, I feel I'm one person on stage and I'm another person with others. But the two are becoming more joined as the time goes on.
Oh, I'd like to continue for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life? Okay.
No, it's amazing. It should feel as though I'm doing something right.
Oh boy, are they ever genuinely wonderful individuals. Just good people.